How's it going, Go5 Pal fans? This is Miss Matone GFP, and this video is going to be a longer one, but this will go over all 10 of my sectors. That's right, all 10 of them. I have finalized the rosters for each and every one of them, so I figured it'd be a good time to go into them. Now, obviously there are a few names that are not in my collection yet, so I am going to mention those whenever I get the chance. So, without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start things off with Mid-Atlantis. This sector has, I would say, the biggest faction warfare going on within the entire group, with duos, trios, factions, as I mentioned, and several single stars. This also is home to a second singles championship, which is unlike everything else. So, let's get started. First off, we have Tim Rocket Sr. This is the owner of the sector, so he is here. The Mid-Atlantis Heritage Champion, U.S. Steel. Punk AD. Dusty Plumber. Jack Grappler, Scorpius, Lex Lightyear, Robbie Rocket, Ajax the Annihilator. This is the only ICOF card in any of the sectors. Once he loses in the Mid-Atlantis match, when I do that, that is going to be his time up. We have Tom Trax, Mr. Grappling 2, Remington XT, Cosmic Nightmare, Tiger Patel, Danger Graves, Rampage, Body Bag Burke, Road Rage, Oliver Orville, Doc Snyder, and finally here we have Chester Orville. And now this is where we get interesting. So, Mid-Atlantis actually combines both Mid-Atlantis and Tim Rocket Promotions, since they were divided into two in the initial timeline. So, here in Mid-Atlantis, remnants of Tim Rocket Promotions will be found. This is why they have a dedicated second championship. But let's start off with Powermonger Incorporated, featuring Tim Rocket Jr., who's going to go after the Heritage title, and the GFP Heavyweight. Those are his main goals. We have the Cosmic Champion, Party Pirate. Punk BC. Sugarcane. And the GFP Duos Champions, Mame and Mauler, the Carnage Corporation. Marking out the men of the faction. Before I forget, I want to go and mention why Punk BC is here. Well, Punk BC in the timeline is a failed copy of the original. So having both actually works out. Here we have the ladies of Powermonger Incorporated, Roxy Rocket, Ice Cream Queen, and Amanda the Relentless, the Double Diamond Champions. Our next faction is the Four Horsemen, featuring Ricky Stallion, JJ Houston, and the Spinebusters, Olympia and Outlaw. A very potent Mid-Atlantis threat. They're going to continue to be as such. Then we have the Dream Team, Richard Riot, Flex, Crux, and Maxine Dream. The ZDL, Shane Studd, Disturbed Youth, and Dr. Mathematico. And then we have Crimson Cross, along with the Annihilators, Kane and De Vega. Next up, we have the Midnight Dynamite, Bobby Bomb, and Stan Manley. I don't have the Regional Rumble version of Stan Manley yet. I am getting that soon. And their manager, Cornelius Wilson. Then we have Johnny Danger. He is the manager to the original Midnight Dynamite, Detonator Dennis, and Rough Shot Randy, both of which I am getting, so I look forward to showing that. And final tag team or duo, we have the Galactics, Proton and Neutron. For the ladies, aside from the ladies of Power Manga Incorporated, we have Ratchet and Serenity, BFFs, Paige Rage, Chloe Cage, and Becca Bolton. And that is our Mid-Atlantis sector. As mentioned, this is a combination of Team Rocket Promotions and Mid-Atlantis. So a lot of the top feuds from Mid-Atlantis and some of the top feuds from Team Rocket Promotions made their way here. Danger Graves and Ajax are here because they qualified in the Kingdom Atlas qualifier, which I'm going to be running on future cards, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And that is how Mid-Atlantis is going to be run. It's going to be traditional in how things work, as in Mid-Atlantis traditional. Alright. Next up, we are going to go into one of the feuding areas. We are going to be going into Deep South. This one has quite possibly one of the biggest signings in all of the Fed, in all of the GFP. So, let's start off with the owner, Harold Ross, Team Rocket Senior's tag team partner. You probably noticed the bell in the back. That's because Bobcat Jack is in Deep South. He was originally signed to Deep South proper, so under Roy Hunter, so he's going to be under Harold Ross in this sector. And then we have Bass and Razortooth, both members of Bobcat's Legacy. This duo was made because they had connections to Bobcat Jack, so that's why they're here. Next, we have the Supremacy, featuring the Interconstellation Champion, General Shuck, Reign of Terror, Argo Gargoyle, and Blunt Force Trauma, Skullgill and Cruder. We have Big Country, Comet Chase, we're now in the singles guys by the way, Datu, Doc Fletcher, Glenn Haxon, Hawaiian Flash, we'll get to why in a bit, Scrapyard Dog, Sergeant Major Payne, Stroker Ace, T-Bolt, Rick Raven, Roy Hunter, Tex Remington, The Superstar, Turkish Terror, and that is the last of our singles guys. For our duos and trios and all that, first we have the CCRC featuring Desmarine, Firestopper, and Mickey. The Storm family featuring Papa Storm, Carrie Storm, and Kevin Storm. If I get David Storm, he's gonna be in this group as well. So be on the lookout for that. We have Style GS Lyle and Jimmy Man. And their partner Big South, but he's in his own little duo. And Style GS Lyle, and these two actually form, I'm forgetting their name. It's like off the top of my tongue, but I just can't remember it right now. Fabulous T-Birds. Fabulous T-Birds. Yeah, this is it. Fabulous T-Birds. Then we have Big South with Steve Stampede, our Miracle Violence connection. The Yellow Jackets, Buzz and Stainer. The Cosmic Blondes, Dream Machine and Casanova. Blackhawk and Dragon Blood. I'll get to this in a bit, but it does play into why someone else may be joining on our sector. Southern G, Logan Alexander, with the Big Cub. And then this is a duo that I actually flip-flopped around a bit, but I decided to put him in Deep South. It is the Mad Soldiers, Iron Soldier and Muscle Soldier. For other women, we have Antarctica, Black Scorpion, Burn, Goliath, Kayfabe, and Thunder Kitty. Deep South tries to keep as much of the original Deep South identity as possible, so we have Sergeant Major Payne, the first ever Interconstellation Champion, the new Interconstellation Champion, General Shuck, Bobcat Jack. But it also adds a few little quirks, like it adds the Fabulous T-Birds and Storm Family feud, for example. And that's pretty much what that sector is about. Now, Rocky Top is next, and Rocky Top is in the same area as Deep South. I mentioned that Deep South was actually split in half, so Rocky Top was created. And we'll get into one of the major things that both Rocky Top and Deep South are going to be doing because of how big of rivals they are. We have JT Royal. Then we have the Unified Sectors Duos Champions, Storm Raptor and Tracker, the Iron Scorpion Horde, alongside Warhawk. Now, this plays into one of the big things that I did, so we'll go back to him in a bit. The rest of the singles guys, we have Shapeltic, Colt Python, Constellar, Gabe Bison, The Hammer, Jack Hammond, Milo the Silo, Shooter Remington, another one we'll get to, Southern Stud, Tex Cassidy, Wolf Hunworth, Abrahammer, American Chic, Cephas Funk, HT Mahoney, big sign here, Mega Power, Mr. Excellent is here as well, so big signings there, Red Cyclone, Soda City Slugger, Super Trooper, another one which has a role, Doc, Troy Boy, and that's all the singles guys. For our duos and trios, we have Sundog Spot, Sundog Rex, the Sundogs with Fifi. We have the Regulators / the Boys Club with Mike Boy Boy, Big Boy Dubish, and Jimmy Stallion. We have Corpse with Razor and Mutt. Party Foul, Warden Red and Rumblin' Rooster. The Regal Ruse, Wild Bill and Mad Jack. The Chainsaw Cuties, Sid Saturn and Rex Rotten. Disco Fever, Lucian and Jax. The Hot Shots, Maverick and Duke. Checking here, and this is the last one. The Texas Outlaws, Dirty Don Nathan and Sammy Lovett. For our women, we have Boogie Boogie Babe, Dakota Dorado, Emma Venom, Franny Stein, Maze, OMG, Games Master, and Mistress of Dance. So, looking at, gosh, what do they call it again? Okay, Rocky Top. Man, my brain just fried for a second. At Rocky Top, you may have noticed there were several characters that actually had some slight overlap. And I will tell you that one person I plan on playing in this sector is from the 2024 Fight Pass, which I'm getting in a month as I'm uploading this, I think. And that is Wolverine Watson. So, when it comes to these two sectors, and I think something very similar with Central Space and Grain Belt this is being done with as well. There is something that was done, especially in the WWF and places like the WWE, and it is counter programming. Basically, what that means is if you have one person in one area, then you could have a very similar person fill a role in another area. This is why demolition was a thing in 1987, because Vince could not sign the Road Warriors. And you notice that throughout several of the guys here. Like, I mentioned Bobcat Jack and Wolverine Watson. That's going to be one. And then we have Sergeant Major Payne in this roster with Super Trooper. And I think the most egregious is the team of Blackhawk and Dragon Blood in this sector, with the Iron Scorpion Horde and Warhawk in Rocky Top. But this does feature the GFP. But they are going to be feuding, so that's why the counter-programming thing is, a thing. So, let's get to the other feuding sector. As I fix this up. We have Central Space and Greenbelt Pro. We'll start off with Central Space, with Vern Vaughn at the helm. They have the CSFC Grand Prix champion, Dante Giordano. Huck Hurst. Checkmark and Checkmate. Dogfather. Grotesque. Harley Davis. Honest Abe. Mr. Bell. Rex. Sweet Tea. Baron Zero. Cristoforo. Demolisher. Filth. Kid Rumble. Matt Action. Sweet Tooth. Tito. The Mad One. Grim and Little Miss Spookiness coming along for the ride. And the last one, and the last singles act, there's two more singles acts with female valets, Pork Chop, Zamek, and Jolene, and Haro and Hex. For our duos, we have Phineas Farmer and Hank Farmer, the Manly Boys, Dexter and Dudley. Here we have trying to find them again. The Flying Olympians, Greg Gold and Jimmy Jumper. The Midwest Wrecking Crew, Sodbuster Anderson and Chad O. The Kazandan Troopers, Ezekiel Aziz and Abdul Hakim. We Are Rascals, Johnny Hype and Bubba James. The Hellbillies, Boone and Beacon. Terra Mask, alongside Helvis. And finally, we have Milwaukee Beast and Crusher Labruski. For the ladies, we have Brianna Roller, Sarah Delmato, Snoochie with Sweet Dream for some fun times, baby. And finally, the Ladies of Doom, Allison Cooper and Marilyn Monsoon. And that is Central Space. Let's go over to Greenbelt, with Professor Burns at the helm. They have the Terminal Velocity champion, Tim Johnson. Americus. Grande Reyes. Katsuro. Coco Brown. Matterhorn. Popeye Mulligan. Razor Burns. Salvador Americas. Sam Dung. Stanley Strawn. Xion. Badman. Danish Dynamite. Headhunter. Camaro. LA Ryzen. Pink Floyd Rosedale. This is where Regional Joe would be. Here we have Rekka Sheik, the #1 contender for the Grand Prix title. Space Cowboy. Steel Panther. Super Beast. And that's it for this completely singles. We have the now we have a faction here. The El Prado Broncos. Buck Tompkins, Crimson Mask, El Prado Kid, and Jane Tompkins. Next up are the regular duos. We have the Kaiju Experience, Guy Dozer and Tusk. The Ultimate Specimens, Biff Malibu and Max Juice. The Berlin Bombers, Valentinus and Nicolas. Hashtag FFG, Do5ton and Mr. J. Blind Fury and Headstone. Road Crash X, Ojo de Fuego, and Road Crash... So, Gasfire Carnage, that's what the team is. Ojo de Fuego and Road Crash X. Scum of the Earth, Bad Wolf and Reviler. And finally, we have Lightning Strike, White Lightning, and Stray Bullet. For the ladies, we have Cheeky Boom, Dawn, Kimmy, Sandstorm, Tarian, Sweet Vixen, Fightin' Freda, and Brawlin' Betty. So these two are a lot more peaceful when it comes to how they operate, because they are not trying to really encroach on each other's territory. So you don't see as much counter-programming from them. Just good old-fashioned clean wrestling. Or fighting, I guess is the term. Now we'll go to the last of the original sectors to still be around. And that is North Forest. Starting things off, we have Rip Owens as the owner. The North Forest champion with the baby blue, Bahamas Bull. The junior heavyweight champion, Lionheart. Now for singles, we have Arana, Armor with Honey, Blizzard Warner. TNT is going to be here, so the two of them will be together. Bullion, El Pantera Negro, Fuller Nelson, Hedge Knight, Orlock Rhodes, Periwinkle, Rocky, Rumblebee, Vientre Gigante, Brett Blades, Owen Blades, King Klondike, Big Red, Admiral Amstel, Brickyard Brown, Croak, Great Scott, Hang Ten, Milotor, Muck, Pietro Pride, Professor Almighty, and that's it for singles. For the teams, we have Tygar and Blastoise Rex, Jurassic Powers, alongside Tharian. Tharian also forms Code of Honor with Okoye. So both will be running at the same time. Here we have the Canadian Destroyers, 1 and 2. Hyper Galaxy Heat, T. Ignis and Caloray. Stormfront, Hurricane Hughes and Lightning Storm. The Samoan Hit Squad, Afi and Tui, with Tiga at their side. And lastly, we have Extinction, Papa Gus and Big Yellow. For the women, we have the Unified Sectors Women's Champion, Nucleia, Angelica Flash, Fiona, Lainey Bryant, Thorn, and finally the former Double Diamond Champions, the Grizzly Girls, Lumberjill and Grizzly Girl. And that's North Forest. A lot of based around like Portland, forest theme, just trying to keep it in the north as much as possible. I will say Sledgehammer Schmidt is planned to be here once I get the 2024 Fight Pass. Should be getting that next month. Should be getting that in August. So, looking forward to that. On to our next sector. And we are going to go with Ole Miss Grappling. Ole Miss Grappling is as it's described. It's all about grappling. So a lot of the wrestlers that you'll see here are grapplers, or able to be grapplers. Here we have Eddie Safari, the new scientific champion, JJ Strife, Mike Safari, Pitbull Preston, Seamus McCann, Star Blazer, Stu Masters, the former scientific champion, the Tapper, the Technician, Tiger Sanchez, Varsity, Macho Toledo, Mad Dog Bauman, Mighty Kingos, Punxsutawney Bill, that's a weird one to say, I'm not even gonna lie, the Connoisseur, UK Bruiser, VHS, Vincent Harrison Shepherd, Wolfhaus, and this is where we actually going to get very interesting with this one. These three are not together by any stretch of the imagination. Well, these two are, but this one is a rival to both. So I'll quickly get it out of the way. Vincitor, Vintaru, and Victaris are in this sector, for they are grapplers in nature. Formerly in Fire Island, Vincitor wanted to move to Ole Miss Grappling for a chance to be a champion, and Vintaru is along for the ride. Victaris not going to let him do it easily. Now for our major faction here, we have General Rules Army, featuring Baltic Bear, Howitzer number 1, Howitzer number 2, and Mother Russia. This quintet looked to be a menace. Then we have Armageddon with Slaughterhouse and Carnage, WAYNK, the Angry Hare and Plague, the ECO, Mean Green and Jimmy Clean. They want the Green Championship, so they're gonna fight. Then we have Sam Ross. Luke Rocket will be in this one alongside him to form the Boston Broncos. But for now, Sam is on his own. I'm hoping to get Luke Rocket in sometime this week as I'm recording this. Then we have the Polish Bears, Volos and Cybor, A-List, Star Caliber and Ace Cannon, Old School, Frederick and Franklin, the Union Jacks, Wolfgang Ripley and Powerhouse Smith, and finally, the team of TKO and Horseplay. This last one was a bit more of the on the unorthodox side, I'm not even gonna lie. For the women, we have Denise Stump, Haley Jean, Irish Wild, Malieve, Mercedes 80s, Mona Lucha, and the Grappling Grannies, Rooney and Ruth. So as you notice, they were more grapplers and less like fighters, hardcore, all that. And that was the main attempt when building this roster. I wanted to keep within that theme. Speaking of fighters, though, no-nonsense fights, you can go to the Grand Smoky for that, and that's exactly what we're going to get here. A lot of the people within this roster are actually going to be those that would be traditionally fighters. With one major exception, but I couldn't exactly let this sector go without too much issue. So we have Rush Reynolds, the All-Earth Champion Superion, someone who doesn't get paid by the hour, just like a fighter. We have Johnny Fighter, the Heritage Champion, Bare Knuckle Butler, Bowden, Boston Terror, Hard Knocks Haggerty, Hollywood Gun, Knuckle Sandwich, Meteor Man, Pulos, Ragnarok, Southpaw McGraw, Black Mamba, Dark Knight, Torn, Xuratin, Cobra Pilsner, Devlin Kane, MC Carjack, Pack Crace, Rinkuro, Reichzilla, the Magistrate, the Marquis, the Wrecker, Thug, and Vayne. These are the exclusively singles. Now we're going to our duos slash, I guess, alignments of sorts. We have Death Star with Lady Death Star, Chomper and Stomper. Chomper's here because he wants to get a Death Star, and Stomper's here because it works. The Strike Team, Hammer and Anvil. The Evil Ones, Nocros and Volzag, because what's a good fighting game without very evil people? Trying to take over the world by winning the ultimate tournament. Seriously, fighting games, make that make sense. Here we have Junior and Senior, Relative Humility, because a good fighting game has joke characters as well. Space Invader 1 and Space Invader 2. Kenpo and Tiger Striker. And this one is one that I played with in the past, but now they're back together. It is the Allied Powers, Crusher Khan and Yoko Ono. Hopefully this time they'll do better, but that is debatable. For the women, we have Attitude, Blossom, Fury, Lauren Lethal, Sadistic, and finally Team Extreme, Action, Snowfight, and Volcano. This roster was more focused on building a traditional fighting game collection. So you have a bunch of typical fighters that are more like about the fighting. So Grand Smoky is basically one giant fighting game. So go into the old IFC roots with this one. We have 2 more sectors to go. And let's go and get to one that's more designed for the high rollers. It's Goldfront. I do not have Digger Dodge yet, so I can't show him, but I am getting him soon in a trade, so I'm looking forward to that. For now, let's get to the rest of the sector. We have the Unified Sectors Champion, Duke Turk. And then we have Big Thunder, formerly Thunder Gold and Fire Island. He was actually Digger Dodge's first major signing. So, Big Thunder is here. Back from the Hollywood glitz of Thunder Gold. Back from Hollywood, he is here. Big Daddy T. I'm getting to the rest here. Gold Usher. Franklin Fury, Ojima, Prince Ikaria, former Fire Island Junior Heavyweight Champion, RBI, The Prospector, Big Chatty Cool, $1 Billion Brawler, Eric Adonis, Flex Frenzy, Mega Dollar Fortune. This is where Sly Sterling would be if I had him, but I don't. But here we have The Claw. The Claw. That's never gonna leave my head. Thunder Rex. Valentino Massacre. And that's the last one of singles only. Now we have a slight duo here. We have Blackjack and Roulette. Now we have some factions. The Gauntlet is in Goldfront with Bullet Bronson, Mortimer Murphy, Thad Killian, and Slick Nick. Their objective is simple. Win the gold. Hold the gold. But they're not alone, as Rushmore is here as well. Coincidentally, where Goldfront is, it's actually very close to where Mount Rushmore would be, so it works out. We have Lincoln, Roosevelt, Kennedy, and Nixon. Kennedy and Nixon forming the cabinet. Next up, we have Eminem, Mantis, Nerio, and Melona. The first ever IFC Intergalactic Tag Team Champions, Vex and Blight. The team that has held him since have been Mame and Mauler, so yeah, the most dominant champions in the entire league. We have the Undercover Brothers, Cash and Midas. The Forces of Nature, Aftershock and Shockwave. The Auditor and the Examiner. And finally, we have the Cold-Blooded Hearts, Marksman and Blacksmith. This one is actually a very interesting one because they are very similar to Bret and Owen Hart, or Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, or Bret Blades and whatever Blacksmith would be. Because of this, they were actually brought in to Goldfront because Digger Dodge is actually running shows illegally in the North Forest. This is counter-programming. So, that's why. Our last duo is Mr. Tempest and Zenith, formerly of the Industrials. They've come here. I should say, they plan on doing some things with Big Thunder, I believe. Now for our women, we have Dorna Wayfarer, Queen Laurie, Showstopper, the Trissian United Trio, Lay Sunbird, Ella Patra, and Diamond Beetle, and finally, the Icons, Boo and Bay. This is basically designed as like a money pit, or like a super show style with a, I guess, old school WWF vibes. Like we have Hogan, we have like the Hart Foundation, we have Earthquake and Typhoon. It is very money driven. Our last sector is Outlaw Fighting. This one I actually went with a very interesting approach for. The major feud is between Doc Wyatt and his ex-wife, Babe Wyatt, and the Wyatt International. So, for this sector, I decided to go with Doc Wyatt having a group of his own to counteract it. He's hiring the GWFZ's maxed assassins. We have Dogma, Akuma the Ninja, Kanazawa. These two have formed Assassin's Creed for the longest time, but Akuma is going to go into singles, and Kanazawa is going to team up with Y2K. It works because they have the same background color. And the two of them will form Assassin's Airstrike. And Y2K has a manager of his own in Samson, or I guess an escort. So we have Doc Wyatt and the Assassins. Basically, they're his hired help to deal with the Wyatt International. With Hot Flash Cash, Starfire Bobby Starbird, Brazen Rook, who has a feud with Dogma that escalated to a weapons-filled steel cage match on Industrial 7. Then we have Danny Demo and Scott Derby, Demolition Derby. And finally, Babe Wyatt to represent. And that's the major story that's going on in that sector. For the rest, our single stars, we have Bronco Buckingham, Claymore, El Jaguar Azul, Hubris, Joe Pro, Scorpio, The Ace, Zero Gravity, X-Nails, Adam Smasher, Amish Air Force, Chris the Flames, Eradicator, Fumbleguts, Hook Beast, Noah Fire, Solomon Hecaziah, Victor Von Metal, Zork the Orc. Then we have the potential for Shane Gang to make a posse, so Shane Gang's here. And for the Fixer to get some clients for his fixes, so the Fixer is here. We have Buffalo Slim, Sink, Crocs Voltaic, Junior Leatherface, Just Insane, Rabid, Warzone, Splice, and Thundar. They technically are not a duo, but they do have a thing against one of the top guys. They do have a thing against Rabbids, so they are going to work together. And then we have the franchise in DD3K, the franchise 2. And now for our women, we have the Intergalactic Women's Champion, Embargo, Bomb Shelly, April Fool, Havoc Killborn, Disgrace. Then we have the Nasty Girls, Belle Nubs, and Jessie Scabs. And finally, we have Double D, Bertha Ray, and Devon. And that is Outlaw Fighting. This is, without a doubt, my most violent sector, aside from maybe Industrial. This one focuses more on hardcore violence, since there's no disqualifications. So, a lot of wrestlers will do a lot of more violent things, like smash each other with canes, or grinding their organs, like with Dogma, stabbing them with pitchforks while we're at it, why not? Blast each other with mist, stab each other with forks, it doesn't really matter. Chances are, if you could do it, you can do it in Industrial. You can do it in Cyclone Valley for Outlaw. And that is going to do it for my 10 sectors. This one was actually very challenging to make, so I am really glad I got through it. So there is one sector that there's one promotion that I never mentioned at all throughout any of this. And the reason why I never mentioned it is because, well, truth be told, it's gonna be hard for me to figure out. And it's not due to a lack of trying. Believe me, it's not. But I have not mentioned anything about Southpaw. Southpaw grappling is something that I am planning on doing, but it's going to be a lot more difficult to implement into the sector system. What I think I'm going to do is, if I find wrestlers that I'm not really using in my main sectors, I'll have them join Southpaw for a short amount of time, and then we'll go from there, and we'll see how well it works out. Lastly, I have it here, so LFG is going to be its own thing. All the wrestlers in LFG are going to wrestle for the ring jacket. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So what I'll do first is I will actually have these guys wrestle for the jacket. Because Mike Steele is a coach, he cannot wrestle for the jacket. Everyone else can. So that leaves 17 guys. So I have to potentially do a qualifier to eliminate one. But I can confirm that's all in the works. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you don't miss out on anything Go by Power related, including Regional Rumble unboxings when I get my stuff for that. Fight Pass 2024 when I get that. The sectors, whenever I start those up, I am really looking forward to starting those up, because that's going to be fun. And also LFG, gonna work on that. And if you guys have any suggestions for what you want to see for Southpaw, be sure to let me know in the comments. Request matches are also open. If you have any request match that you want, just let me know in the comments, and I will try my best to make it happen. Last thing is Supercard. Supercard is in the works. The Valkyrie title will be on the line, and it'll be between Embargo and Nucleia. The winner will become the Valkyrie champion. Aside from that, I am also going to have some of the other championships on the line, so it's going to be a massive collection of activities. It's going to be a champions night, so expect a lot of crazy things. Thank you all for watching. Sorry, I almost forgot. If you want to buy cards, check out the Pro Boards. Not the Pro Boards, the store that's in the description. If you want to talk about things, check out the Pro Boards, the Facebook group, and the Facebook page where you can get updates on a lot of stuff. And you can check out the Discord, which is also in the Pro Boards. Finally got that spiel out of the way. Thank you all for watching. This has been Miss Patone GFP. Sign off.